Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor, call me whatever you would like. Well, the new year has begun. It is 2023 officially. The resolutions are underway. The gyms are getting a little more crowded this time of year, as we're used to seeing. But hey, you know what? To just kick this one off real quick, it's easy to get frustrated with the crowds that start up here at the new year in some gyms. Let's just do our best, maneuver through them, get it done. Just kind of deal with it. We know how it goes. It's going to be crowded for a few months, and maybe a few weeks, and people are going to go ahead and just sort of drop off a little bit, and it's going to level out, and that's fine. Some will stick, some will not. That's just the way it goes. Not everyone's going to be 100% successful. That's just not how life works. All we can do is try to be as kind and accommodating as we can to new faces, and go from there, and just encourage everybody. So what I want to do with this first episode here of the new year, it's going to be sort of a part one of four. What I'd like to go over are different splits based on how many days per week we're going to strength train. 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, and 6-day splits. And what I'm going to provide to you, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's the best and you have to do this and this is the only way to go. These are what I believe are the most beneficial splits that I would run if I was training 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days, 6. You know what I'm getting at here. So with this episode, we're going to do 3 days. And on this one, I actually have 2 different routes to go. The other ones are going to be a little more just one way, basically, to not over saturate this thing and give you too many options. So what I'm going to put together is what I feel is best, what I've done, how I train. And I can't stress to you enough, just because I'm on here, if you're listening and you disagree with something, that is totally fine. I actually still am making adjustments to my programming at times. I take information from other people. I never stop learning. I never sit there and get stuck and stubborn. Not too stubborn. I am a stubborn person in some cases, but I try my best to not be closed-minded and stay open to criticism and change and try something new. I think it's always beneficial in the gym to kind of get adapted to anything and everything, because what happens, like we said before, the gyms are getting crowded right now. So what you want to do in the gym is kind of get yourself acclimated to a lot of different stations and types of workouts. That's what I do think is good about variety. I don't think you need to be all over the place and do all kinds of weird things in the gym to change anything. I think that's just sort of a mental thing. People who look for attention on social media are trying some weird looking workouts that are just probably dangerous and ineffective. But like I said, it's good to have a variety of different movements you're comfortable with, you get the form, and you feel safe doing, and it's going to help you progress. So with that being said, I'll just jump right into it here on a 3-day-a-week schedule. There's 2 ways to go here. And the first one that I would do on a 3-day-per-week schedule is a push-pull legs type of a strength training routine. So what that would mean is on the first day of the week that you're going to train, let's just say it's Monday, you're going to do pushing motions. So pushing motions are anything from bench presses, incline presses, overhead presses, tricep push downs, any motion that's pushing weight away from you. This will work your chest, your shoulders, and triceps mostly. So then what you'd want to do after that, since it's a 3-day, you'd probably want to take a rest day from there, because you're going to really want to be intense. When you're doing 3 days a week, you have to, the trade-off for less days a week, less frequency in the gym is you have to be more intense and efficient within your time frame on a 3-day a week. You want to get things done. You want to hit the right muscles. Go with the compound movements. Compound movements for this type of day for a push would be what I listed off: overhead press and bench press. Those are the main compound movements. What compound is that it works multiple muscle groups in one movement. So if you think about a chest press laying flat on a bench versus a tricep push down. The bench press, what you're going to do is when you do that movement, you're going to work your pectoral muscles. You're also going to get some stimulation on your deltoids, which are in your shoulders, as well as your triceps, which are on your arms. That motion is going to hit all of them. It's going to primarily work, if you're doing it correct with the right form, your chest. And the rest is going to get a little bit of a hit as well. When you're doing a tricep push down, And when you're doing that motion, the only thing you're really going to hit are your triceps. It's an isolation, so it's one muscle in the movement. So therefore, that would want to go towards the end of your workout. So that's kind of how you would work a push day on a 3-day-a-week schedule. Definitely prioritize your compound movements all the time. That's rule number one, and that's going to go for just about any single type of split and how many days you're going. You're going to probably want to prioritize compound lifts, and I'll be talking a lot about that throughout this episode and the other 3 that I do. So then you skip a day, take a rest day. Then after that, Wednesday comes around, and it's your pull day. Pulls can be anything from rows, deadlifts, lat pulls, bicep curls, any movement pulling weight towards you or pulling a mechanism towards you to hit your back, your traps, your biceps, your rear delts. That's kind of what's going to get worked there. Again, the deadlift and the row are pretty much the main compound lifts here. If you take a barbell and row that's an excellent movement to get good at. The deadlift, though that does work your legs a little bit as well, is still a very beneficial lift for the back. You can do any variation of a sumo, conventional, an RDL, something like that that's going to focus your back. And with a deadlift, you can kind of gauge where you're gonna work mostly. You can have it affect your back a little bit more based on how you lift. You're gonna have to just have mind muscle connection for that and work through that. And then lat pulls, bicep curls, obviously, like, similar to what we said before with the tricep pull down, the bicep curls is an isolation movement. So like when you're doing rows, especially if you're using a supinated grip, which is a underhanded type grip, if you're doing a row or a lat pull, anything like that, you're going to get more activation in your biceps. So doing that is going to stimulate all those muscles, your back muscles, your lats, anything, even your traps, everything will kind of get hit from there. Your lower back, depends on how you're angling yourself. And like we said before, the biceps curls are towards the end of the workout, something that you'd want to do to kind of burn out a bit, because your biceps are already going to be stimulated through the rowing motions and the pull downs if you're doing that correctly as well. So without me getting long-winded here, we take another rest day Thursday, and then you go back Friday and you hit legs. That's squats, deadlifts, leg press, lunges. Those are a lot of the compound movements. Some of the ideal ones, hip thrusts are also pretty good for isolating the glutes. You can throw in some leg extensions and leg curls as well, but you're probably not going to have enough time to hit all that. So that's why you want to use the time you've got on a 3-day to do a lot of squats, deadlifts, leg press, things like that. They're going to work the quads, the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, everything in one shot. You can also tack on, again, the calf raises as well as an extra, because the calves don't exactly get the same stimulation as the rest of them do. It's a tough muscle group to hit and to grow. So that's kind of a 3-day-a-week push-pull legs type of way. You know, I'm not going to get super detailed in here. You can message me to ask me questions about it, how I would run it, how you can incorporate it to yourself. Again, this is traditional strength training. This is not circuit training. This is not something that you do at Orange Theory, dancing around from one station to another, breaking a sweat, using light weights, doing 20 to 50 reps. You want to be in anywhere between the 2 to 10 rep range, somewhere in there is probably where you want to be. It depends on your goals, to be honest with you. So, you know, you want to build strength because you want to build muscle while you're doing this. So keep that up. The pros to this, the 3-day-a-week schedule, the push-pull legs, 3-day-a-week, the pros that I see in here is that it gets a full session in to a certain body part. So like, for instance, your chest and triceps are hit really well on one day. So I think that's a good thing but you have to make sure that you're really intense that day and you're really hitting what needs to be done. You can't half-ass it that day, because you're probably not going to hit your chest again until another week. That might be a little too infrequent, and the results may be slow, which is a con, of course, which I'm going to follow up with next, that there's not enough muscle stimulation throughout the week that you're hitting per muscle group. So in that case, you know, you might be sacrificing, you know, with some slower results, just because you're not spending as much time in there, and not time under tension is minimal. So you really have to make sure that if you're going to go 3 days a week, you're intense and you're focused and you're there with purpose. And then you really have to just make the most out of those. So the other one that I would do is a 3-day full body. I don't love this, I will tell you that, but I do believe that it can be effective, and there are some fitness pros who do swear by doing a 3-day full body type of routine. What that would be is similar structure to what we just said. It'd be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you're doing a full body workout every day. And I'll tell you, since you're hitting that, the compound movements become even more detrimental here, because like one day you'll want to start with squats. I'd say you want to start with squats with one day, chest press another, and then let's just say either rows or deadlifts on the other, because you kind of want to give each of your major muscle groups, which is your legs, your chest, and your back, a day to start out fresh, to where you're not already taxed and fatiguing, so that they're up in front of the workout. You can incorporate some isolation movements as well towards the end of each day: triceps, biceps, delts, calves, abs. That type of work can be thrown in towards the end if you have time, but you really want to use your energy and your time just as effectively in the other one with the push-pull legs, and the full body with the squat, deadlift, overhead presses, rows, and chest press. Those are the 5 major movements you want to be doing in the gym for this. So that's self-explanatory. I'm not going to get too heavily into it. Again, it's all about the compound movements. It's all about time under tension. It's all about making the most you've got with the time you've got on a 3-day. Great progress can be made doing this. It just has to be effective. The pros here is that you do hit all 3. Your muscles get 3 times stimulation. It's not as intense, but they get it 3 times a week. So you're hitting your legs 3 times a week, as opposed to the push-pull legs 1 time, but way more in 1 session. So you kind of have to figure out what appeals to you more. Which one of these 2 do you think you would stick with longer? That's kind of how I would go with it. The 3-day can be a bit of a time saver. The cons on that, possibly not enough frequency per session. I think some muscle groups might end up getting shortchanged or neglected. A lot of people do go to the gym and sort of focus on what they like to do. Like, most men love to do chest presses. They love chest day. Women like lower body. I guess that's just kind of what we want to focus on and what we want to enhance. So if you're caught up without a good programming, you might just find yourself chest pressing a bunch, and then your body's going to grow maybe not proportionate, and you're going to shortchange other things. And men, don't neglect your legs. There's a lot of muscle down there in the quads and the hamstrings and everything like that. There's a lot. It's half your body. Don't neglect the legs. It's time to stop skipping leg day if you're still doing it. We have to stop that. And women, I think, maybe chest day, they kind of forego that a little bit, because their chest isn't built like a man's. It's looked differently at. So, but I think it's still well-rounded for women to get that in, definitely. So yeah, that's the downfall of the 3-day full body, I think, is that it's just going to cause maybe something to lag. I feel like there's so much going on in such a short amount of time. It also depends how much time you've got. If you've got 3 days and 2 hours, you want to do that, that's fine. That's great. Then you might be better off with a long session, but that's a long time to be in the gym for 2 hours. It really is. It might be counterproductive in some ways too. So if you only got 40 minutes, you really have to be in there, be intense, and make sure you're progressing. So that's basically the 3-day full bodies, the 2 ways to go. So to review it, it's push-pull legs or 3 days full body. And I recommend definitely taking a rest day in between each one if you can. And also don't get too into like, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are my days. Unless your schedule is something to where it has to be that way, to where your life, you have kids, you have a job, you have other things going on the other days of the week. Hey, understand, but you can't let a day where, hey, Wednesday gets all messed up and you miss the gym. You can't let that thwart you and throw you off completely. You're just going to have to try to say, hey, all right, the next day is Friday. I can get there. Okay, fine. I'll do the pulling motions then, and I'll throw legs over onto the weekend if there's an extra day. It's always good to have like a spare day maybe available to where you can, like, say if some shit goes down on Wednesday, I can kick it back and be back where I was on Monday and restart again. Or fuck the days of the week completely and just kind of go in a rotating order. Say, okay, well, I did pull day, and now the next day I do is push. So no matter how many days go by, no matter what you miss, push days next, then legs. But you don't want to let too much time go by, because if you're only hitting your certain muscle group, once every 10 days, that progress may be nothing to very minimal. That's it. So that's another benefit that I didn't list here yet to this 3-day a week. You have open days. If you have a flexible schedule and you do have to miss a day, you can just go the next day and get it in. And, as opposed to a 6-day schedule where you're doing a lot more, maybe, you feel like you're off kilter a little bit and you don't know how to get your schedule back. But we'll talk about that on a different episode. So like I said, this is just what I think would be best to do on these days. Of course, if you have a certain body part that you really want to improve, unlike fat loss, muscle gain can be targeted. So you can put more effort into that if that's what really is driving you to go there and do that. And you can always pick up a lag somewhere else down the road. But I do recommend doing everything well-rounded and full body as needed on these 3 days. So full body or push-pull legs. So that's really it for this episode. These are going to be shorter ones because without video or demonstrations or anything like that, this can probably get pretty dry and boring. But if you are somewhat new to lifting, or you're looking for something different you haven't tried yet, I do believe that this type of programming for 3 days would be ideal. Of course, if you're muscle building, you got to be in a calorie surplus to get benefit. If you're in a deficit, you got to be in a deficit for fat loss. That's just the way it goes. The eating dictates a lot. So this is all complementary to that, and very, very, very important to have programmed very well along with your diet. So the next episode we'll do, if it's not in succession, we'll do a 4-day split. I may or may not have 2 different options for that because off the top of my head right now, I do have in my head different ways to go. So I would rather just do a little more than less. So I'll have that coming up soon. And like I said, please, I love talking about this stuff. If you need to find me, I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, also LinkedIn at MFS Wellness. And you can also shoot me an email, mike@mfswellness.com. Excuse me. So happy New Year, and keep going. If you're new, if you're just getting in the gym, you're restarting, you feel sluggish, the holidays have take its toll on you. There's so much noise, and you just want to focus. Just stay with it. Like, just honestly forget everything else, and just stick with what you said you're going to do, and just keep going. And just make that your one goal. Just keep going. Even if nothing's perfect, if everything seems out of whack and you're not failing, if you just keep going. So that's my favorite advice. I have to give it to myself and to my clients and to, just whoever else might need it. So until we do the next episode, I appreciate everyone that listens. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you then.